Okay, so we continue our series of best X weapon in the game in this evergreen state that we are officially in. We've done quite a few primaries, we've done sniper rifles. Let's do another class of special weapons, that being none other than shotguns. And as I'm pretty sure some of you guys are aware, shotguns are hitting really good. If you haven't seen any of the other videos in this series, do consider checking out the playlist. That'll be linked in a card at the end of the video. So we're going to start with some of honorable mentions and work our way up to the real genuine heavy hitters. Okay, first things first, I just briefly want to mention the Blasphemer, as this is a slug. Okay, I know slugs aren't in the best of spots, but in some very niche areas you could use a slug, and this one does have 4 times the charm and all-star if you do just want to rip some ammo. Once again, any kinetic weapon in this sandbox is very powerful, just to the fact that we have kinetic synthesis and you can make ammo for that weapon just by shooting said weapon at any sort of healthy enemy whatsoever. And this one having all-star does give it a 30% damage buff when you pick up a brick, so if you are just face tanking an enemy, bang, you can make the ammo proc all-star, reload the weapon, and just kind of shoot it infinitely. Once again, it's just an honorable mention because it is a slug after all. But for what it's worth, if you are finding yourself in the Ultra SAR and you find this bad boy to drop for you, hey, maybe worth keeping. Now, next up, I want to talk about our 2, what I like to call them, utility shotguns. Shotguns that you were going to use for something that is not generally what a shotgun is used for in terms of just doing raw damage up close. But instead, we have shotguns that can just really help you out in a certain build. We're talking melee 1-2 punch style builds. In the kinetic slot, we have the Perfect Paradox. This is a rapid fire frame shotgun that is perfect for any 1-2 punch build you may be using due to the fact of its Cast No Shadows origin trait. When you deal melee damage, you refill 20% of the magazine and you are granted significant handling. This is a rapid fire frame shotgun that is perfectly suited to pair with something like Song of Flame and Celestial Fire Spam, or any other melee build you may be using, because you're never going to have to reload it, so you can always 1-2 punch melee, 1-2 punch melee, 1-2 punch melee, because the origin trait is going to passively reload bullets into the magazine just by you using your melee and doing melee damage, which, as we all know, is very nice when doing a 1-2 punch style setup. I know grapple melee is not nearly as potent as it once was, but if you're using maybe something like your Bonk Hammer, Song of Flame, this will be very good, because you can guarantee that you can just go into the loop of tractor, 1-2 punch melee, 1-2 punch melee, 1-2 punch melee, and your shotgun's never going to not be reloaded for you, so you can consistently go through this loop and not have any downtime. Very solid shotgun for this specific purpose, and it being a rapid fire frame does mean that it has a very high ammo count. Similar to the Perfect Paradox, we have what I like to call the good old reliable, bro. This is essentially the Perfect Paradox in the energy slot. We're talking about the good old Ikelos Shotgun. This is like my tried and true 1-2 punch shotgun in the energy slot. Honestly, since we were able to have this pattern, and even though the tier 5 version of it now with the new craftable perk pools that it has access to doesn't change the way you would really use this shotgun too much, I still want to mention it as it is really good. You want to go with Grave Robber and 1-2 punch for this shotgun melee style of play style, as Grave Robber is similar to Cast No Origins, as Grave Robber is similar to the Cast No Shadows origin trait, but you have to spend a 3rd column perk slot to get access to it. You do melee damage, you refill some bullets into your magazine. Simple. It's also a rapid fire frame, so it has plenty of ammo, plenty of shots for you to proc 1-2 punch on, and is overall just a very simple, straightforward shotgun for any sort of build that requires a good 1-2 punch shotgun. Now, with our simple basics 1-2 punch shotguns that you won't have to manually reload during a damage phase or that much in general out the way, I do want to talk about our fun play style, just raw in your face mogging shotguns. I have a Sudden Death, which is the good old Prophecy shotgun, and this is an aggressive frame. Aggressive frames in this sandbox are just better than they were in the previous sandbox, because going into the Monument of Triumph update, all aggressive frame shotguns just got a 15% damage buff inside of PvE. Just awesome. Any sort of aggressive frame shotgun you come across is just going to be better than it was, just solely because of that buff. And Sudden Death having access to both 1-2 punch and trench barrel leans it to be in a very up in your face playstyle. You shotgun, you melee, you shotgun, you melee, and you're dealing much more melee damage and you're dealing much more shotgun damage. Prophecy origin trait is no slouch as well, and this is an energy slot shotgun that's gonna hit pretty darn hard. And if you are 1-2 punching and meleeing, this might be a nice little pickup to throw in your build, especially since it has both access to 1-2 punch and trench barrel. 1-2 punch being in that 3rd column, trench barrel is going to be in that 4th column. Overall, this weapon will allow you to really crank some damage up close against any healthy major. Could be okay for boss damage, but we have shotguns that are going to outperform the sudden death for that purpose, as you'll see in a bit. Staying in this sort of 1-2 punch trench barrel role of shotguns, I do want to mention one that is in the kinetic slot. I honestly never thought I'd talk about this weapon, but here we are, the Fractethyst. Yeah, this is a precision frame shotgun, so not as good of a frame as the sudden death, but it does still have access to that same 1-2 punch trench barrel roll, albeit on a worse frame, so it's not going to perform as well. But because it is in a separate slot, it does have some merit and some value, because generally energy slot primary weapons get used more than kinetic slot ones. So any good special weapon that is in the kinetic slot has just a little bit more value, just because it opens up and leaves you to be able to still play around with your very good energy primaries or any solid energy workhorse weapon. Think of like a choir of 1, right? Whereas you can't use any of those weapons if your energy slot is taken up by something like a sudden death. So I just felt like I had to mention the Fractethyst for this specific purpose, as it is a 1-2 punch trench barrel shotgun, but it is in the kinetic slot. Stasis too, for what it's worth. And that leads us to my favorite part of the video, because we have 2.5 absolute heater shotguns. Okay, let's just get right into it. We know how dominant the new age threat level is. This thing with the right setup absolutely rips damage. If you have anybody in your fire team on a divinity, you are going to be able to crank some genuine, serious, mad damage. Why? Well, like I said earlier, we have access to the kinetic synthesis mod, so any kinetic weapon is going to be very, very powerful, because you're going to be able to make ammo for it by shooting said weapon at a target. And the roll for threat level, it is a rapid fire frame, which is great. We love having a high rapid fire rate to just dump our pellets at the enemy's face at up close range. But it also has access to Cascade Point. Cascade Point is very simple. You get some rapid precision hits with any other weapon, swap back to your threat level. The fire rate is going to be very, very high. You're just going to go, you're going to crank damage. My preferred roll on the threat level is Cascade Point and All-Star. All-Star is a 30% damage buff for 10 seconds. And something to know about that is that when you stow the weapon, let's say you proc All-Star, okay? If the timer starts ticking down, it's at like 6 seconds and you swap off of it. You can be chilling for however long. When you swap back to threat level, the All-Star buff is still going to be there. It's not going to tick down while it's stowed, which is a nice quality of life for that perk. And since All-Star is also going to automatically reload the weapon for you and give you a 30% damage buff, it is a very simple, straightforward method of damage that you don't really have to think about, because when you're up close and personal, you're going to pick up those bullets, you're going to proc your perk. It's a very streamlined process in terms of procking your damage perk. The real trickiness, honestly, when using threat level is procking Cascade Point consistently over and over again and not having it fall off, or having that little weird awkward window where you switch back to your weapon to proc Cascade Point, but your initial Cascade Point hasn't fallen off yet. So when you go to proc it and swap back, it actually doesn't proc. You have to fully wait for Cascade Point to fall off and then swap back to your Cascade procking weapon so you can actually proc Cascade Point again. That's like the only real little minuteness when it comes to using threat level in this manner. But threat level ceiling is so freaking high. This weapon can genuinely crank over 200,000 damage. This thing blitzes enemies. If there's any boss that is in close range and you have someone that is using a divinity, you're going to absolutely mog with the threat level. It is that good. However, threat level is tied to the hip of your Cascade Point procking weapon. That is why I have the good old Arcane Embrace. This is the Festival of the Lost 2-round burst slug shotgun. The reason why this weapon is good specifically for this purpose, first of all, it's a 2-round burst. Those 2 shots, if they are precision, that's all you need to proc Cascade Point. It also gets reconstruction, and enhanced reconstruction on this weapon is going to give it, I think it's like 32 or 36 rounds in the magazine, so you don't have to worry about having to reload either of your shotguns. You don't have to worry about reloading threat level because of All-Star, and you won't have to worry about reloading Arcane Embrace because its mag is so big that the boss is going to be done by the time you would have to reload it. Very, very good. Also, you just have reconstruction, so it's passive reloading as you're going through your damage anyways. You're just not going to have to reload either of the shotguns. And when we're talking just cranking some good damage, yeah, you're going to absolutely rip. Maybe throw on a tractor cannon or a parasite to get yourself even more damage through worm byproduct, and you will absolutely rip. Threat level, Arcane Embrace, very good combo with each other. Arcane Embrace just acts as a battery to juice threat level to proc Cascade Point as fast and efficiently as possible. Put put on the highest handling speed that you could possibly find, and you will profit and go to work. Now, I like to say that I saved the best for last because this weapon is just so freaking good, dude. Found Verdict is such an absolute menace demon of a weapon. This is an aggressive frame. Like we mentioned earlier, aggressive frames in the sandbox, they all got a 15% flat damage buff inside of PvE bonus. It is arc. So it being arc means it gets access to arc compounding and retinal burn. Retinal burn, whenever you rapid arc precision hits, is going to release a blinding explosion on the enemy, which will proc arc compounding, giving you another 15% damage. And then this being an aggressive frame, it has aggregate charge in the third column and trench barrel in the fourth column. Two of the best damage perks in the game, both on the same weapon at the same time. There's no other shotgun that has access to these type of perks and is an aggressive frame. Highest raw base damage of any shotgun in an aggressive frame, then has two of the best damage perks at the same time. Oh, and it gets access to the time lost magazine origin trait. So you rip your super and then you just have a very fat 12-round magazine. Essentially, you're going to be absolutely cooking. I would put on assault mag to have a little bit increased fire rate on your Found Verdict, but this thing is going to hit like a freaking truck. I kid you not, when you have all of these factors going in your favor, 30% debuff, Worm byproduct, surges, arc compounding, aggregate charge ×3, trench barrel, all proc, radiant, you're standing in a well, or you have boosted the assembler on. I kid you not, Found Verdict is going to be hitting for over 7,000 damage per shot. That is ridiculous for a legendary special weapon. Oh, and you can just go ahead and craft it with the exact roll that you need. Genuinely might be just the flat out best shotgun in the game. Threat level ceiling, yes, it is higher, but it requires a lot more setup. Where at Found Verdict, you can just slot and it will just do its thing. It doesn't take much setup at all, and it will just fry just about anything in any sort of content. If you're doing ultimates or high level content which you are under leveled in, this is a great weapon against unstops, just because it has intrinsic unstoppable, and its damage profile is so high that it's going to freaking rinse any sort of healthy enemy on any sort of enemy on any sort of level of difficulty. It just hits that freaking hard. It hits like an absolute missile, and is, in my opinion, the best shotgun in the game. That being said though, guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions on the list if I missed out on any shotguns or I missed out on a roll on one that we talked about in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do consider checking out the Twitch channel. We actually recently just did a full 6-man Soul Link challenge. Very, very fun, albeit a difficult challenge, but we got it done. So look forward to that video coming out in a few weeks. You guys have a great day. Be safe. Consider subscribing. I'll see your beautiful faces in that next one. Adios.
Easy.
He's like just like wailing, but like it doesn't matter because you just shoot him with a shotgun.
Yep, I love shooting the shotgun and seeing the health bar drop.
You can be.